Hi guys, so in today's video, I will be going through how exactly we can use ChatGPT to learn coding and specifically how we can use prompts more efficiently and effectively to achieve better results from ChatGPT during our coding journeys. So prompts might seem like something that's very easy to write. You just type whatever you want to know. But for something like learning how to code, it can be kind of difficult to figure out what prompts you need exactly to start off coding and things like that. So here at juniorit.ai, we've compiled a list called ChatGPT Prompts, the path to becoming a full stack developer. Now, this can be found in either our playground at the top of the page, here it is as a link, or in our resources page as a blog. So now coming back to our prompt page, let's scroll down and first thing we see is a table of contents. So for today's video, I will just be going through some of the basics and also a little bit of coding language up to writing our first Hello World application. So if we scroll right down, we can see that there are these hand icons next to each prompt. Now, if we just click on this hand icon, and then we can see there are options for what language you want. But for now, we just want general since this isn't necessarily language specific. So how can learning to code improve my problem-solving skills and benefit other areas of my life? And we can click Ask Now since it comes up in a ChatGPT question box. And you can see we have an answer. So we can see that learning to code can improve analytical thinking, logical reasoning, creativity, attention to detail, patience and perseverance, time management, collaboration, adaptability, confidence, and career opportunities. There are plenty of reasons why you should be learning how to code. Now that we all know how it works, the remainder of this video will just be me giving a brief introduction into coding using these prompts as a sort of guideline. So if we look at prompt number 5 here, how can learning to code be a fun and creative process, serving as a hobby or a means of self-expression? So let's ask ChatGPT here. So we can see that in order to make coding, which is inherently something that kind of seems boring, just chunks of text that you look at all day, to make it a little more exciting and fun to learn, so we can choose a project you're passionate about. So if that's like creating a game that you could potentially play in the future and genuinely enjoy, building a website, developing an app, or just anything that you are genuinely interested in and that just adds motivation. And then we can see start with a beginner-friendly language. So these are things that are quite popular, such as Python, JavaScript, or Ruby. So this just makes learning the language a lot easier since you have all of these documentation, tutorial communities to help support you in your coding journey. And then we can see explore different coding platforms. So using programs such as like Scratch, for example, which basically just make coding more sort of game-like and just exciting in general. These are used a lot in schools, but you can use these yourself if you find that you need kind of an extra push to help you get started with coding. And then we have 4, join a coding community. Everyone knows if you're working along with others and interacting with others, it makes things a lot more fun. And then we can go through the rest of these. Participate in coding events, customize your learning experience, set achievable milestones. This applies to anything, not just coding. Embrace your creativity, learn at your own pace, and share your work. So that's just some things that could make coding a little more enjoyable. And now if we jump straight down to number 4, which is software for development, and let's look at prompt number 4 here. So what is Visual Studio Code, VS Code, and what are its main features? So let's ask AI here. And we can see Visual Studio Code is a lightweight open source and cross-platform source code editor developed by Microsoft. And let's see. It provides a versatile and efficient environment for developers and runs on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, making it accessible to a broad range of users. So here we can see the main features of using VS Code when coding, and this can help you give you a better idea on what sort of program you want to do your code on. And now if we look, we also have Android Studio and Xcode, which are all mediums for coding. So we can ask AI for those. And here we can see Android Studio is for Android app development created by Google and has a comprehensive set of tools and features that simplify and streamline the process of creating, testing, and deploying Android applications. So here we can see that Android Studio is used mainly to make Android applications and it has been created for that purpose. So if you ever want to make an Android application, you know where to do it. And now let's look at Xcode. So here we can see Xcode is the official integrated development environment for iOS, macOS, watchOS, and tvOS app development. So similar to Android, it's something that was created by its company to help those who are developing apps for the software itself. And here we can see some purposes that Xcode has in app development. And yeah, so that's a brief overview in code editors, and that can help you decide on what code editor you need to use for what projects. And now let's go down and look at what are the main categories of programming languages. So if we ask this, so we can see that there are about 8 main categories that coding languages can be put into. So we have procedural languages, object-oriented languages, functional languages, scripting languages, query languages, markup languages, concurrent languages, logic languages, and that's it. And you can see there's a brief description for each of these and some examples. So here we can see some familiar ones: C, Java, C++, C#, Python, Ruby. So object-oriented languages are quite popular. And then there's also Python, JavaScript, Ruby again, scripting languages, HTML as well as a markup language, and some others. So now let's go down to, let's say, for example, you are deciding between learning 2 languages. Well, you can always ask ChatGPT, for example, compare and contrast the key differences between C and C++. So if we ask this, so you can see they're both good for general purpose programming, with C being older than C++. So C++ was actually designed as an extension of C, and since then it has kind of evolved to set itself apart. And you can see here we have a detailed comparison of the two, which can aid you if you're ever in kind of that need to be able to choose between 2 languages. Now let's get into the actual coding part. So writing your first Hello World application. So first, let's have a look at what exactly the purpose of a Hello World program is. So we can ask now. And you can see it's a simple computer program that outputs the message "Hello World" to the console or another display medium. So it serves purposes of introduction to a new language, environment setup validation, basic output demonstration, template for more complex programs, and a confidence booster. So essentially, a Hello World program is kind of this universal program that is used for all languages, which just allows the user to kind of just familiarize themselves to the language and its syntax and things like that. So now let's go on to writing an actual Hello World application. So if we look here, right now this is put on Dart, but we have a whole bunch of languages that we can use on our website. So Flutter, HTML, JavaScript, TypeScript, React, React Native, Python, PHP, Swift, Java, Kotlin, C, CPP, and Go. So for now, we will go and stick with Dart because that is the default language here at juniorit.ai. And if we ask now, you can see we have a very simple Hello World function. And then below this, you can also see that there is a description or an explanation of what exactly the function and features of it does. So you can see we define the main function as the entry point of your program. So the main function calls on the print method to output the string "Hello World" to the console. And if we just run this, you can see it prints "Hello World." So that will be it for today's video. This was just a brief introduction into how exactly we can use ChatGPT to teach ourselves to code, and also an introduction to our blog, which is called ChatGPT Prompts, the path to becoming a full-stack developer. This contains everything you really need to become a full-fledged developer.